It feels like you can get your credit scores anywhere these days. Random websites, card statements, budgeting apps, heck, even your dog might bark out a few numbers. It's true. Credit Karma isn't the only place you can find them. But we actually do more with your scores to help you find your next financial opportunity. Like a more rewarding credit card, a game plan that helps you pay down debt faster, or a personal loan to help you save more on interest payments each month. Cha-ching! The possibilities are kinda endless. Download Intuit Credit Karma today to get started.
This is the Eagles Checkdown, right here on the Eagles Pinpool Podcast Network. I am Phil Stifle, your host, bringing you the fastest 10-minute or less Eagles podcast there is, talking news, notes, and opinions on all things Eagles Nation that are happening. And yes, we are still talking here today, Tuesday, October 22nd, about the Eagles' big victory over the New York Giants on Sunday. Guys, I got so many random stats and thoughts as I've collected my opinions and ideas from the game. So some of these stats and some of these comments may be a little disjointed, but bear with me. There's a lot of good that came out of the game, especially with the defense. So that's where we're going to start with the defense. And first and foremost, the great first-round rookie, Quinion Mitchell. There have been 28 defensive backs in the NFL so far through 7 weeks that have been targeted 33 or more times. Guess what? Quinion Mitchell leads all of those cornerbacks in passer rating allowed. That's amazing for a rookie at this point of his career already. Cooper DeJean, through 2 games starting now. This past week, in his second start in the NFL, 3 total yards allowed on 3 catches given up. I mean, that is also something special. The defensive line and the pressure on the quarterbacks in the first 4 games over the first 5 weeks of the season, they had a combined 6 sacks. In the last 2 games, 13 sacks. I mean, even bye week or Bryce Huff, who, you know, I'm starting to think maybe has a little bit of that Hassan Reddick slow start in a Vic Fangio system. Obviously, Hassan Reddick, the first 2 years in a styled system like Vic Fangio, struggled. Now, it was 5 games for Bryce Huff under actually Vic Fangio's system, but then he turned it around. In the first 5 games, he had 83 pass rushing snaps. He had 2 pressures. This past week, 18 snaps, 5 pressures, and 1 of those sacks. Let me give you some of these. I mean, some of these stats for the Eagles defense. The completion percentage allowed 60.6% so far. That's 6th in the NFL. 19.2 points per game, 7th ranked in the NFL. Hell, and it's only getting better because technically they only gave up 12 points to defense, 19 points total, 12 points in the last 2 weeks. They are now 7th in the league in sacks with 19 of them. They're the 9th best defense yards per game allowed at 304.2 and 189 yards per game passing given up. That's 6th best. It goes to show what the secondary with Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean are doing. They're still 15th ranked, only middle of the pack in run defense at about 115 yards a game. The only downside, they still only have 2 takeaways, those 2 Reed Blankenship interceptions, which ranks them dead last in the NFL. They got to find a way to start creating some turnovers on defense. Quinion Mitchell's this close. He is going to get that first turnover sooner rather than later. Couple other things, defensive pressures. Bryce Huff did have five pressures in the game. Jalen Carter had a couple. Nolan Smith had a couple. Something else that really stood out to me, something we've struggled with early this season, is missed tackles, especially from our cornerbacks and safeties. There were 0 logged missed tackles from our defensive backs against the Giants. In the Monday after presser, Nick Sirianni asked about Jordan Davis's drop in snaps. He only had 12 snaps total. But he said it came to the flow of the game. You know, a lot of passing being up, a lot early, and they were obviously forced to pass a lot. So that was that. Some positive stats on the offensive side of the game. They gave up Lane Johnson, again, another dominant performance, gave up 0 pressures in 21 pass rep snaps. Fred Johnson did give up 4 pass pressures in pass protection. I do want to say he was asked about it by in his press conference by Ed Kratz, SI Now, friend of the Trending in the AM show. And he was asked about who the backup option is at left tackle, and he really gave no answer, pretty much stating that it is still Fred Johnson's job going forward to back up Jordan Mailata until he's back. Jalen Hurts had a 99 quarterback rating against the blitz, another turnover-free game, which is excellent to see. And the running game, obviously, Saquon Barkley had a great game. Kenny Gainwell had a great game. The Eagles had 190 rushing yards on Sunday just after contact. I mean, that's something right there. I mean, the stats, when you look at the stats, the instant overreaction to the Eagles game, it's like, it's the Giants. It is what it is. Jalen Hurts missed a couple passes here or there, a couple open receivers here or there. But when you really look at the stats, the game against the Giants, especially on the defense, was even more dominating than we really realized. It was something special when you dive deep into it. Again, Nick Sirianni spoke after on Monday, as he always does, to the media. Not much really came out of it. He wasn't asked about Mekhi Becton's injury at all. He talked about the 0 turnovers from Jalen Hurts in the offense over the last 2 weeks, and it's just and how you balance being aggressive but also protecting the football, and it's just different. AJ Brown being back, making better decisions, things like that. He spoke about having the players to make those explosive plays. And he really, really complimented Jalen Hurts a lot on the great throw on the 41-yard touchdown pass to A.J. Brown, which it was an excellent throw. He did spend some time talking about fourth down, the fact that in the last 2+ years, they are over 71% success rate on fourth downs. Now, he wants them to be better on third downs. The problem with having as many fourth down attempts as they do is because they aren't successful on third down. So he'd like to see them be better on third down. But when you have the offense that the Eagles have, and the tush push and other options with Saquon Barkley or deep balls on fourth down to A.J. Brown, that you can be aggressive on third down and still have that fourth down option there. He did say something interesting about identity. He was asked about identity in the press conference, and he says your identity as your team, it changes sometimes from week to week. He said the core values of your team doesn't change, but your identity, people put too much into core values or identity, because as long as the core values stay the same, the identity can change based off of who you're playing. He was not asked one question about Saquon Barkley's performance, but right before recording this video on Monday night and this audio on Monday night, I did see they did release the video, the audio and video of Saquon Barkley being spoken to by Nick Sirianni. We're going to close with this. Saquon Barkley was 13 yards away from setting his career high in rushing yards on Sunday. And Nick Sirianni was ready to pull the starters, but he went up to Saquon Barkley and he asked, you are 13 yards away. Just so you know, if you want to stay in, we will let you stay in and try to set your record, get yourself your personal best. And Saquon Barkley just said, no, let the young guys cook. We're good. And I think it's a lot deeper than people realize, because Saquon Barkley is not interested in individual stats, individual awards, anything individual. He's trying to help bring this team together as a team. And his not worrying about individual accolades is something that this team that has had locker room issues in the past, that's been divided in the past, that the media has divided in the past. Saquon Barkley saying, no, let the young guys go, let them get their shot, and let's focus on the bigger picture, basically, is something that can help get this team together. And I just love to see it. Now the goal is to pay it off. And let's get ourselves get Saquon Barkley a ring there. That's pretty much all I got, other than the fact that the Eagles are 2-0 now since moving Cooper DeJean into the starting slot quarterback position. Oh, and one other side note, the Eagles-Jaguars game, week 9. So next week's game against the Bengals was already bumped up from 4 o'clock to 1 o'clock. The following week, week 9 against the Jacksonville Jaguars, was bumped from Sunday Night Football to 4 o'clock. So that's 2 weeks in a row that the Eagles have been bumped down a time slot. I mean, some of it is against the teams that they're playing. Some of it's also that the Eagles are just not must-see TV at this point. Oh, well, it is what it is. I like 4 o'clock and 1 o'clock games better than night games anyway. Gives me plenty of time to record this for Monday mornings and all. Anyway, we're going to end there. Brandon Ayuk, NFL news, was ruled out for the year with a torn ACL. Deshaun Watson, torn Achilles. It is what it is for those guys. No, Deshaun Watson, whatever. We won't get into that right there. But, guys, I'm Phil Stifle at Beard of Knowledge on all social media platforms. This is the Eagles Checkdown on the Eagles Pinpull Podcast Network. You can catch me for a longer episode on the Trending in the AM, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 9:30, linked below, talking all things Philly sports, period, on the STT Sports Network. Guys, go Birds, and bubbles up to you.